ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। शीन्वितं स्वकान्तकृष्णा पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनः हृदयन्तस्थो हि अभद्राणि विधुनोतु सुहृत्सतं। नष्टप्राये शिवभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवते उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैस्तिकी. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 21, the verse 35. प्रधानकलस्य धर्मसङ्ग्रहे शरीर ईशा प्रतिपद्य चेतनम् क्रियाफलत्वेन विभुर्विभव्यते यतनलो धरुषु तद्गुणात्मकः. Synonyms: Pradhana, material nature; Kala, time; Asya, desire; Dharma, occupational duties; Sangrahe, aggregate; Sharire, body; Isha, this; Pratipadya, accepting; Chetanam, consciousness; Kriya, activities; Phalatvena, by the results of; Vibhuhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead; Bhivavyate, manifested; Yatha, as much as; Analaha, fire; Dharusu, in the world; Tad Gunatmakaha, according to the shape and quality. Translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is all-pervading, but he is also manifested in different types of bodies, which arise from a combination of material nature, time, desire, and occupational duties. Thus, different types of consciousness develops, just as fire, which is always basically the same, blazes in different ways according to the shape and dimensions of the firewood. The Supreme Personality of Godhead constantly lives with the individual soul as Paramatma. The individual soul has awareness in accord with his material body, which he attains by virtue of Prakriti or material nature. The material ingredients are activated by the force of time, and thus the three material modes of nature are manifested. According to his association with the three modes of nature, the living entity develops a particular type of body. In animal life, the material mode of ignorance is so prominent that there is a very little chance of realizing the Paramatma, who is also present within the heart of the animal. But in the human form of a life, because of developed consciousness, Chetanam, one can be transferred from ignorance and passion to goodness by the results of his activities. Kriya Phalatvena. A human being is therefore advised to associate with spiritually advanced personalities. The Vedas, the Mukunda Upanishad 1.2.12, give the direction of Tad Vijnanartham Sag Gurum Evabi Gachet. In order to reach the perfection of life or to understand the real constitutional position of the living entity, one must approach the spiritual master. Gurum Evabi Gachet. One must, it is not an optional. It is imperative that one approach the spiritual master, for by such association, one proportionately develops his consciousness towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The highest perfection of such consciousness is called Krishna conscious. According to the body given by the Prakriti or nature, one's consciousness is present. According to the development of consciousness, one's activities are performed. And according to the purity of such activities, one realizes the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is present in everyone's heart. The example given herein is very appropriate. Fire is always the same, but according to the size of the fuel or burning wood, the fire appears to be straight, the curved, small, or big. According to the development of consciousness, God realization is present. In the human form of a life, it is recommended, therefore, that one undergo the different types of penances and austerities described in Bhagavad Gita: Karma Yoga, Gnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga. Like a staircase, yoga has different steps for reaching the topmost floor. And according to the one's position upon the staircase, he is understood to be situated in Karma Yoga, Gnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, or Bhakti Yoga. Of course, Bhakti Yoga is the topmost step on the staircase of realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In other words, according to the one's development in consciousness, one realizes his spiritual identity, and thus, when one's existential position is purified fully, he becomes situated in Brahmananda, which is ultimately unlimited. Therefore, the Sankirtana movement contributed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Lord Chaitanya is the direct and easiest process for coming to the purest form of consciousness, Krishna consciousness, the platform on which the Supreme Personality is fully realized. Directions for performing different types of yajnas are specifically arranged for the highest civilization of the Supreme Lord, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita by the Lord Himself. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is realized according to the proportion of one's surrender. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam tathaiva bhajami aham. 4.11. Full surrender, however, occurs when a man is perfectly in knowledge. Bahunam janmanam ante gnanavan mam prapadyante. 7.19. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तविंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. I would like to seek blessings from all the assembled Vaishnavas and thank you for an opportunity to purify myself. Please forgive me for any shortcomings. So, we are in the fourth canto, the creation of the fourth order, and the chapter is 21, the instruction by Maharaj Prudhma. So, just to recap, in previous verses, it was discussed how King Prithu was enthroned by the great sages, by the Brahmanas, and what great activities Prithu Maharaj has performed. And when Prithu Maharaj was being initiated to perform the sacrifice, Maharaj took the opportunity to teach about how the king should rule and how the citizen should behave, what is the prime goal of human life, and who is the bestower of the benediction. And in this verse, Prithu Maharaj talks about the all-pervading nature of Supreme and how the different types of consciousness develops. And development of different consciousness or different bodies on how the living entities associate with the three modes of material nature. If you look into the how living beings are born, so in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says in 14.3, Mama yonir mahad brahma tasmin garbham dadamyaham sambhava sarva bhutanam tato bhavanti bharata. The total material substance called Brahman is the source of birth, and it is that Brahman that Krishna impregnates, making possible the births of all living beings. Everything that takes place is due to the combination of Kshetra and Kshetrajna, the body and the spirit soul. This combination of material nature and the living entity is made possible by Supreme God Himself. The Mahatattva is the total cause of the total cosmic manifestation and the total substance of the material cause, in which there are three modes of nature, is sometimes called Brahman. So the Supreme Personality impregnates the total substance, and thus innumerable universes becomes possible. This material substance, the Mahatattva, is described as Brahman in the Vedic literature, Mukunda Upanishad 1.1.19. Tadmat etad Brahma Brahma Namarupam Anam Anancha Jayate. The Supreme Person impregnates that Brahman, which the seeds of living entities. The 24 elements beginning from earth, water, fire, and air are all material energy, and they constitute what is called Mahat Brahma or the Great Brahman, the material nature. Beyond this, there is another superior nature, the living entity. Into material nature, the supreme nature is mixed by the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore all living entities are born of this material nature. Material nature is not the cause of the birth of the living entities. The seed is given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, every living entity, according to his past activities, has a different body created by this material nature, so that the entity can enjoy or suffer according to his past deeds. The Lord is the cause of all the manifestations of living entities in the material world. And coming to the different modes of nature, so here Prithvi Maharaj mentioned the different modes of the nature. We can look into those in little detail. The sattva, that is a good, characterized by the quality like clarity, harmony, and balances. And it is also associated with the knowledge, happiness, and freedom from suffering. In individuals, sattva is thought to be lead to wisdom, compassion, and sense of well-being. And coming to the rajas, which is a passion or activity, it represents the activity, energy, and enthusiasm. And it is associated with the pursuit of desire, action, and the results of one's effort. In individuals, rajas can manifest as an ambition, drive, and a strong sense of purpose. And in tamas, it represents ignorance, inertia, and attachment. And it is mainly associated with delusion, darkness, and lack of awareness. And the individuals who are in tamas, they can manifest as laziness and apathy and a resistant to change. So the modes are not fixed but rather dynamic and can fluctuate within an individual. By understanding and developing the modes of goodness, one can transcend the other two and achieve higher state of awareness and enlightenment. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 14.5, Svatvam rajas tamas iti gunah prakriti sambhavaha nibaddanti mahabaho dehe dehinam avyayam. Material nature consists of three modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance. When the eternal living entity comes in contact with the nature, he becomes conditioned by these three modes. So, the living entity, because he is transcendental, has nothing to do with this material nature. Still, because he has become conditioned by the material world, he is acting under the spell of the three modes of material nature. Because living entities have different kinds of bodies in terms of the different aspects of nature, they are induced to act according to that nature. This is cause of the varieties of happiness and distress. So in this verse, Prabhupada explains that one will attain the human life after going through several births in lower species, and when one in human form, he has a higher consciousness, and he has to use his higher consciousness in knowing and serving the Supreme Being. It was explained that one has to be always in mode of goodness, and through the activities performed in mode of goodness, one's heart is purified, the supreme truth will get revealed. In human form of life, it was recommended that one has to undergo different types of penances and austerities described in Bhagavad Gita, Karma Yoga, Gnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. So, in conclusion, living entities are born due to impregnation of Prakriti material nature by Supreme Personality of Godhead, and He is seed-giving Father for all living entities. Based on interaction of different modes of material nature, living entities will get different bodies. And it is very rare to get human body, and only after millions of birth in lower species, one may get human form. One must use the human form to realize the supreme, otherwise it is completely waste. One has to accept Guru and practice the Krishna consciousness and always associate with devotees who are in mode of goodness. We should not waste this human form of life to get fame in the society or money, because everything will be taken away in course of time. So Krishna says, Kalosmi loka kshaya krutra pravriddho lokan samartam iha pravrittaha ritepi tvam na bhavishyanti sarve ye vasistaha pratyani keshu yodaha. I am the mighty time, the source of destruction that comes forth to annihilate all the worlds. So every human being's prime constitutional dharma is to realize the supreme with the intelligence provided and go back to Godhead, where there is no birth, old age, disease, or distress. This can be achieved by Nama Sankirtana by mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. With this, I